short-term panic, a little spook.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, historically, whenever there's any kind of like war-ish type macro event, there's like a short-term drop and a very rapid resurgence, you know.
Sweep of the
But
floor.
yeah, let's try not to talk about like the how to profit from events such as these. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it feels like it at this point. It's like natural to us. We're always trying to keep our pulse on the markets and stuff, but in this case, it just feels wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, this invasion has been, I guess, pending for the last 2 months or so. Actually, it's been happening for like 2 decades, but yeah, now recently, like Putin has kind of lost it a little bit, but nonetheless, hopefully you guys are not in Ukraine or Russia right now dealing with this nonsense. But yeah.
We'll probably make videos like on our YouTube channel about discussions about this stuff because there are implications like from an economic side. Nothing we need to talk about here, but yeah, if you guys are in the region, definitely everybody send your energy to these people who are in this region, Eastern Europe. So yeah, man, it's just one of these gross, aspects of physical reality. So far no wars are broke out in the metaverse, dude. So far it's a pretty peaceful realm as far as we know.
Dude, can you imagine if there was a war in the metaverse?
It's like people like fighting over land.
Yeah,
potentially there could happen, but
nowhere
near at that point yet. But
it would be a cyber war because people would try to hack wallets and take land and shit.
Yeah, so hopefully we remain peaceful. Land pink slips, exactly. It's kind of what I had in mind.
Yeah. All right, so obviously we're here to talk about Rovies. There's significant updates in terms of like the mechanics, the economics. Who's going to be playing Rovi, right? That's also in discussions. Kind of ambiguous statement there, but we'll explain. So we've been doing a lot of research. So let's go back 2 weeks. So we sort of we delayed one call. I forget why. There's something going on Thursday that we just couldn't make it. And then we delayed the next call because we were having a 2-year anniversary for MetaZone. Hopefully you guys got to see that. If you didn't get to see it, it's on YouTube.
It was great, actually. I had a good time, actually. That was our first actual, like, we've had many like enrolled events, but we never actually partayed. You know what I mean? We actually got a DJ.
Yeah.
We got a club to give us like our own little space to like celebrate and stuff. It was cool, man.
Yeah,
and we're gonna do that more often now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thanks to Third Eye, he sort of set everything up for us, and he found a DJ, and it was really good, man. The music was really solid, and
so that's obviously like what the metaverse is like. It's killing it right now for this, right? As far as like entertainment offerings, it's pretty much what everybody does in Decentraland and most of these metaverses. It's like a party zone, a virtual one. So we finally participate in that, but like this is what we're intending to offer as a platform, as an ecosystem, is much more than that, right? So we've had a ton of discussions on how to, I guess, hone in on exactly what it is we want to do, right? As a project, as a platform, all these things.
Okay, so of course we got a Rovi giveaway here, and we got the good old Pope action. This dude's on fire. Did you see that, man? My little Rovi character.
What was the decision for the World on Fire background, dude? What the fuck?
Dude, I set this up literally about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is
kind of ominous, dude.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the actual war happening. It's pure coincidence.
I feel that. It's just a unhappy coincidence, but it looks cool.
Yeah,
it looks really cool.
All right, so we'll be giving the Pope away in about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll do the Rovi giveaway. So, speaking of Rovi giveaways, we got some updates here. So let's just kind of jump into it. Man, if you think of anything, stop me, because I know I must be forgetting something. But here we go. So we've been doing a lot of research on play to earn mechanics recently, and being in the metaverse, we have an added dynamic that's sort of embedded into MetaZone, and it's the idea of being able to play a distributed game that's run by the community. And for the most part, play to earn experiences don't have to deal with this, right? Like Axie, you just like download the app, play the game. You can delegate your Rovies and things like that. I mean, delegate your Rovies, delegate your Axies, and that's how you play the game. And so Decentral Games, we've been doing a lot of research on what they've been doing, and they have a sort of similar approach, right? They own a district or they run a district, and they're having players own these wearables that allow you access to play the game, which is free to play, and those wearables are delegated to players who have the time to play. Mm-hmm. So we're going to add a sort of dynamic to it where when you play the game of Rovi, you're actually playing the game hosted by a community member. And so there's going to be incentives to host, right? So having said that, we have sort of like an update. All right, so let's talk about this. So as of today's the last day that can only buy on. So hold on, wait a minute, I'm reading this wrong. Okay, so today's the last day of purchasing Rovies, and the only way to get a Rovi now is on the secondary market. So you can no longer purchase Rovies from our store. And the reason why we did that is because we needed to balance demand and supply, right? So you just cut off the supply and then you start balancing the demand, right? That's how it works. So no more purchasing of Rovies. And so for those of you who are interested in potentially playing the game, at least in the first stages, you're going to have to get a Rovi from the secondary market. So there's plenty to get. And so there you go. Now, having said that, there's a two-part to this announcement. And the second part is that anyone who's holding what I'm going to talk about next, this certain permutation of assets, will get airdropped every single meta that we're going to be releasing. Every single one. So how do you do that? So how do you get every single airdrop? So all you need is very simple. 1 transporter, 5 superchargers, A through E, so they all have to be different, and then 3 Rovies in a single wallet. And if you maintain those assets within that wallet, as we continue development, as we continue releasing these metas, you will get one of these metas every single airdrop. So all of them. So that's big news, right? That's huge. So now, those of you who have Rovies and have transporters and superchargers, and you want an airdrop of all these metas, which, again, these metas are significantly important to the game. Just like you go to the DG Casino to play Texas Hold'em, you're going to be going to these metas to play the game, right? They're and otherwise, there's not going to be a dashboard of, playing Rovies like on a website, right? That's not going to happen. We're going to stay in the metaverse. So hopefully that makes sense. If there's any questions, please add it to the chat. I know this is sort of like kind of a seismic shift as to everything that we're doing.
Yeah. So breakdown of metas to come then is it's important to understand. I think as of now, there's 6 or 7 metas in development that will lay pretty much the groundwork and the foundation to PvE and PvP gameplay. So yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but there are 2 experiences. This is what's kind of interesting about games, play to earn games like Axie and Decentral Games, right? It's just one game experience as of now. Axie's kind of they're developing their new metaverse experience, which is going to be way more PvE focused. But they started off with more of a PvP ecosystem. So we kind of have to launch 2 ecosystems in the same time. And it's going to be a community objective to try to figure out how to balance the 2 as far as make sure one isn't more too ultra valuable as far as a time investment over another. Right. So I think that's kind of the reason why we need to what's the word, dude? Accelerate the launch of like the ecosystem, right? Like by
Yes.
cutting off the sell now and distributing the assets for the game to be hosted today,
Right.
or not today, but within the near future, it can get us to the point where us as like a core community can figure out how to balance the ecosystem and to expand from there, right? It's a lot easier to do it that way as opposed to just trying to like figure everything out on paper, like
Yeah.
without much actual in-game exploration. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. So, man,
There's some questions in here. Traywater, when is the last moment we can buy today?
like 8 hours from now, says Oscar.
All right, there you go, dude. There's your answer.
Super Tyler, you missed the biggest news as of late, I guess. So we are stopping sales of Rovies completely. I guess you can purchase a Rovi within the next 8 hours, I believe. And the reason we're doing that is we're balancing demand and supply a little bit. And what's happening is, as long as you have, Oscar posted it here, 1 transporter, 5 superchargers A through E, and 3 Rovies in a single ETH address, you're going to get airdropped every single meta that we're going to be releasing. So the metas are, and just to reiterate, is a reinforcer.
So what does a reinforcer do?
That is upgrading
It's
the
to upgrade
Rovi.
your Rovies. Yeah, right. So part of the PvE ecosystem is to acquire materials, right? And these materials will be.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Yeah. So so let me finish this, and I'll get to the PvE experience here. So it's a reinforcer. It's the hologram meta. It's the PvE arena. It's the fabricator, which is that's the one where you forge wearables. Either that, forge wearables, or weapons. No, sorry. Yeah, wearables. Replicator, of course. The assimilator is you forge weapons, and then the PvP arena is the final one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about the PvE. So this is another dynamic that we are implementing in terms of play to earn, at least as far as I can tell. I mean, I'm sure there's some PvE experiences out there. But as the big ones, DG, Axie, they're PvP experiences, player versus player. And that's how you win tokens. And so what we're going to do is you're going to have a PvE player versus environment where you can win tokens. And so this has big implications for us because we have to do a lot of security because it's easier to manage player versus player in terms of security because there's lots you can do. But PvE is a little bit different, so we have to manage that a little bit. But what we want to do is we want to incentivize people to jump into the player versus environment experience and start mining these assets, right? The metal hedron and the power cores, so that people can start upgrading their Rovies. Right, and so upgraded Rovies gives you multipliers to earn more tokens, and so there's this huge thing that we're going to be outlining in this white paper that we're updating now with this kind of new scheme. Let's see, what's the cutoff for this? Each wallet has the following. Okay, so let me read the update here. So. All right, so announcing Rovi meta airdrops move your assets to the Rovi Oracle. So anyone who has this set up in their ETH wallet, 1 transporter, 5 superchargers, 3 Rovies is called a Rovi Oracle. Reinforcer snapshot is Wednesday, March 3rd. So the reinforcer meta is going to be dropping soon, and that snapshot is March 3rd. So basically next Wednesday, 2 weeks from now, something like that.
Okay. And it's important to keep in mind, too, that whatever is allocated through this airdrop to our oracles, it's not, I don't think, is the actual hard cap to these assets, right? Because
no, it's not.
This is just to get like the core community involved in the rollout of the game ecosystem, right? Like we have more than enough holders of Rovies to justify this kind of distribution. And to kind of experiment to see whether or not the community can self-organize. Not necessarily, we're going to help with the organization process, but a lot of this is going to be, community organized, right? How to best leverage all these assets that are going to be airdropped to all you guys, especially like the oracles, and like how to delegate them to the right landowners and stuff like that, how to create the best experiences for the players, right? Because that's ultimately that's the that's the variable that many play to earn games, probably all of them, have never had to deal with in the past, right? It's just this is the metaverse dilemma that we're forced to solve, like, and because we don't own a ginormous district, right?
Yeah,
we can't just plop all these assets on our district like all willy-nilly and host this awesome game, right? Like, we need our community to do that for the community, right? So we need to get these assets in the hands of you guys and provide you guys with the tools, the delegation tools, in order to facilitate this ecosystem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be clear, even if we had a district, we wouldn't even want to do that anyways, because the whole idea here is that the owners of these metas are the ones who benefit from hosting the game. And so there's going to be like, not only like if you're delegating a Rovi to a player, there's going to be revenue splits just by delegation, right? As you would expect. But because people are playing on your location, on your meta, you also get a share of the revenue there. And and so this is huge. This is how metaverse games will be. Right, there's not any other way to do it besides this way. So, so yeah, we're gonna be trailblazing that here in the next couple of months. E3, can these metas be deployed in Sandbox? So we get this question pretty often, and I guess it's not obvious that Sandbox doesn't have an SDK, which means that developers can kind of jump in and start making custom stuff for Sandbox, and as a result, you can't deploy these in Sandbox. Sandbox deploys NFTs, but they're only deploying their own NFTs, and that's it. So yeah, only metaverses that have SDKs are the ones where you could potentially deploy Rovi games and metas and things like that. So, but it's not like out of the box experience, like plug and play. Right, just because a metaverse has an SDK doesn't mean you can just drop a meta in there. There has to be some sort of integration. So yeah. But
in other words, it would be up to us to identify which metaverse to deploy these assets into next, right? Because that's kind of the whole premise behind MetaZone as like an interoperable ecosystem, right? Like the creators have to, well, first, like the platform has to, I guess, onboard these like tertiary metaverses that are compatible with our metas, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, the creators can kind of like service those metaverses depending on what their SDK enables and stuff like that. So there might be adjustments needed for each individual metaverse, but the ultimate goal being to like the game experience doesn't change much from verse to verse, right? Yes. The assets do become interoperable, but you still want the same game, right? from verse to verse.
So the land airdrop is still happening, but it happens after we get the game flowing and going.
Yeah. And that kind of segues into that conversation. That's going to be probably the most likely second metaverse for these assets to be deployable with, right? The Roviverse, the Rovi Matrix metaverse. So, yeah, the land distribution is going to have to happen shortly after figuring out like the game ecosystem and like all of its flaws and whatnot. Then it's time to figure out, how do we get these assets interoperable, right?
Yeah.
So,
so question for you, iMan. Why deploy this in another metaverse?
Why?
Why even have Rovi Matrix? Why even do that?
Well, I guess every metaverse is different in its offerings, but it's like, I guess it depends on like what your ideals is, like what a true metaverse experience should be like, right? Like your identity as a player, as an ecosystem participant needs to follow you wherever you go, right? So in the Rovi Matrix, it's going to look very similar to Decentraland, but it's not going to be the same as Decentraland.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be an entirely different virtual space, and who's to say we're not going to, experience the Rovi verse in like a higher fidelity environment. You know what I mean?
True.
That could be the third metaverse in
Yeah,
existence.
I think you said it best at the very beginning when you said every metaverse is going to provide a different experience. And in Decentraland, you need a desktop. Well, in some cases, you need sort of like a supercomputer to run Decentraland. And a supercomputer is not readily available to many people around the world. And so you
Yeah.
need a little bit less of a intensive experience, I guess, intensive requirements for people to jump into a game. And so therefore we have the Rovi Matrix that can run on any browser, whether it's on a cell phone, iPad, or supercomputer. And so that gives more people more access and therefore more ability to play the game and have Rovi owners take advantage that they can delegate to more people, right? So yeah, that's the reason.
And that's another important thing to talk about is like the whole delegation aspect, because I mean we're cutting off the distribution of Rovies for now, but our intention is like a phase 2 to the project now is to roll out the actual game economy and the ecosystem, right? So why do that? What is the purpose behind that, right? If we succeed as a community and like, you know, building this ecosystem and actually producing or having the player base, you know, extractive value from it, like what is the end result of that, do you think? Like what are people on the outside who don't own Rovies?
Yeah.
What are they going to want to do?
Yeah.
More than likely, the idea behind it is to encourage outside participation, wanting to enter the ecosystem and participate, right? That's the whole premise behind play to earn economies, like any economy in general. Like if there's a thriving economy, most likely you're going to attract outside participants, right? They want to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what we're going to do with this whole phase 1 rollout of the ecosystem. We're trying to galvanize more interest from like the outside play to earn ecosystem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's that going to do? That's going to increase the demand for the Rovi itself, right? Because that is the entry gateway to this ecosystem. You need to have a Rovi to participate, you know?
Yeah. And so the implication here is it really to make everything work is you need a token. And so we're going to be investigating on liquidity provisions and launching a token for this to support everything. And it has to be done in the near term because in order for PvE to work and be sustainable, you need that token.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Wolf looks like he's having trouble unboxing.
Okay. Oscar's helping him with that.
Yeah. All right, so Oscar made some updates here. Let's see. Okay, so Rovi delegation. Able to delegate an accessory to any Rovi, owner earns 2%. So not only could you delegate a Rovi to a player, but if you have wearables or weapons, you can delegate the wearables and weapons to a Rovi. And so those who do that also earn a percentage of the winnings. And so that's another element of kind of another wrinkle that we're adding into this game is that you got other assets to delegate to a particular Rovi. So able to delegate a weapon attachment to any Rovi, able to delegate a Rovi to any player, which earns 30%. Player plays in PvE and PvP to earn. Player earns 70%, subtract weapons and accessory add-ons. Rovies can wear more than one accessory, one per body location, and Rovies can hold 2 weapons, one on each hand. So a lot of opportunities for a wide community to participate because we have a varying degree of cost associated to weapons and wearables and Rovies. And then the assets themselves, even though they're going to be airdropped to existing community members, they're still going to be sold. So anyone who wants to add an additional reinforcer or another PvE meta could do so by purchasing another arena.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's hard to kind of overstate, how big of a deal this is. But the fact that the community gets to host the game, meaning it's their game, you guys are hosting the game. It's like that's completely different. Nobody's doing this because they can't do this.
Rovi guilds incoming.
Yeah, Rovi guilds incoming indeed.
So yeah, that's definitely part of the discussion. Because that is an essential component to like I said earlier, is onboarding that outside participation, right? Because if the goal or the intention of like limiting the supply during this current phase or this upcoming phase with the intention of creating like like an actual active economy that the players participating in this limited ecosystem are extracting value from, that means the assets that give you the barrier, the entry access are going to kind of go up in value, most likely, according to all economic, proofs of the day. So we want this to happen, right? This is what we're assuming will happen. This is what we're expecting to happen. So we understand this is very limiting to a huge segment of humanity, right? And we've seen this happen in the past with Axie Infinity, now Decentral Games, and there's plenty of other ecosystems to kind of like look towards to figure out what it is. How do you bridge that barrier? How do you allow participation from outside participants and not expect them to have to, fork over,
pay an arm and
potentially
leg,
thousands of dollars just to participate, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, so that's what's exciting about this is that finally this economic system is going to be implemented, and then the PVE is going to be available relatively soon, and we're going to start playing around with like the game mechanics. So if you're in the Rovi Guild, the Rovi Testers Guild to be specific, you're going to be seeing a lot of this stuff way before everybody else, and so that wearable is still coming. By the way, it's still pending, so can't really do much there.
I'm not sure. Anybody have experience like putting wearables out into the Decentraland market? Like, does it normally take this long? It's been like almost 3 weeks.
No, I wouldn't say that long. It's been maybe 10 days or so.
Okay.
Yeah. So
just wondering.
Yeah, I'm curious. Anyone have experience releasing a wearable in Decentraland?
Yeah, if not, it's fine. I mean, I guess we'll just kind of like wait and see how long it actually takes. Maybe we need to start pinging this committee, like, hey guys, what's going on?
Reading through their kind of like explanation on how to actually release a wearable. Sometimes you get rejected, but you have a chance to like fix things. But I mean, this is such a simple wearable. There's no reason to reject anything.
Yeah. Money Slayer asks, can we team up players? That's actually an interesting question. I think, we've been discussing about all of this stuff, like team up players. I think so, because in PvE, like, you really only need one Rovi to participate in the PvE ecosystem, or, but I think each PvE meta is going to have a cap of around, I believe, 4 Rovies. This is what we discussed as of recent. This is not a final design decision at all, but it would be nice to have up to 4 Rovies because we want everything to be kind of like have some kind of spectator element to it. Even like when you're watching people like slay the enemy in PvE, like it still should be pretty cool to watch, right?
Yeah.
And we're even potentially thinking about ways to reward spectation, as a potential way for like these outside participants just to be present within the ecosystem and still kind of like earn their way in slowly.
Yes.
Where they could potentially like, accrue some kind of value to where they could, become players themselves in the future. Right. Yeah. So, but the main point being like free to play is like, is more important than what we initially thought. Like free to play it's enormous, right? So we have to enable it as much as possible,
Yeah, it is so important. I mean, that's really how you make this work. And I was not under the impression that free to play was important, but it definitely is. Okay, so TJ, I want to gamble on battles. That's interesting. So I wish we could do that, but I think there's like regulatory problems with doing that.
There's no reason why you couldn't spin that up though, dude. Like anybody,
if
you want to start some sort of third-party Rovi prediction market or something, some kind of enrolled application, as a battle initiates, why not?
Yeah, that reminds me. So obviously all the gameplay will happen in the metaverse and upgrading, appending wearables, things like that. That's all like gameplay stuff. Though I think one of the few things that is not going to be gameplay like or in metaverse related is delegation. So you will have a dashboard within MetaZone where you can delegate your Rovies and basically delegate anything to an ETH address, and then that's gonna be how you kind of start the process of getting others to play with your assets.
Green Shiver asks a very interesting question. Is there going to be a marketplace meta? Yeah, because we like to say like we're trying to stay in the metaverse, right? So it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a meta that to where you could, connect yourself to the MetaZone marketplace in world, right? We've had discussions about this before in the past.
It can be done. It can be done.
It could definitely be done, and I would understand. It's exactly the same like use case as like an in-world DEX machine, right? Like I'd rather have a machine on my land where I could, swap my tokens right there, right where I'm actually engaging in the metaverse. I want that machine. I don't want to freaking, especially when VR and shit rolls out. Like I'm hooked in. I don't want to ruin any kind of immersion potential in that future metaverse. I don't want to have to go to like Uniswap just to swap my tokens, dude. I want it right there at my convenience. So I can imagine, definitely some meta marketplace metas in the future for sure.
Yeah, Oscar's saying it might be the transporter itself. Yeah, because we've been talking about that, putting into the transporter to add it more, to give it more utility. And so it's a possibility that we do that on the transporter.
Yeah, because it's already like known that transporter is going to be used as like a storage and like a conversion process from off chain to on chain assets.
Yeah.
So it probably would make sense to, expand on that.
Yeah, I agree. So TJ, a tiny mouse says Rovies will be modern day gladiators. Yeah. Man. So we're also playing around with the idea of having infinite upgradability. So basically infinite experience on the Rovi. But obviously that means that in order to get up there, it's like exponential sort of growth or work that needs to be put in order to reach the top levels of Rovies. Because the idea is like, these NFTs could be here forever, right? As long as, we're here, the game's going to work, right? So
as long as Polygon doesn't like
shit the bed.
Evaporate.
Yeah.
these NFTs will always exist. So, and as long as MetaZone, as long as we could continue to facilitate, which everything looks fine in that regards,
Yeah, I mean, not only that, we could decentralize MetaZone as well. Technically you could do that. So, that is part of the roadmap, but we're talking about way later. We're still figuring out how to build this engine that works. And once we build that engine, then we can decentralize everything. So there's a point to this is that infinite experience. Why do that? Like, what's the point of that? It's like, because we want well, the game lasts forever, theoretically, right?
Yeah.
That's the infinite experience of like these assets that don't expire. So then what if you allowed players to just continuously add experience points to their assets? It's like, why not? Like, why couldn't you do that? So we're playing around with that. Obviously, like if you're like at, 100 million experience points and these players are at, 100, it's like there's still, we have to balance that issue. But if you think about it, if 10,000 Rovies are in existence and there's like 5,000 players playing with 10,000 Rovies, I feel like the experience of each Rovi would be sort of normalized at that point.
Yeah. Leaderboards, definitely, TJ. For sure, it's like 100% going to be existent for PvP.
Yeah.
We're still dabbling around with the idea whether or not it's necessary for PvE. It could be necessary, like from like a tokenomics regulation standpoint, just to make sure like there's a balance mechanism to like the supply emission for PvE, just because we're running through all potential scenarios, right? It sounds like egotistical to assume potentially there's a possibility like this ecosystem becomes extremely attractive to the play to earn base, and all of a sudden we have a player base in the hundreds of thousands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean to our token economy, right? Does that mean oversaturation of tokens entering into circulation? Like, what does that do
Yeah.
from an economic perspective, right? So we need to implement like buffers along the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've thought of the idea of leaderboards would be a good way to do that. Because only reason why is because the Central Games is doing exactly that today, right? So, but for PvP, there's obviously tons of utility for a leaderboard, right? Like, I mean, you want it to be ultra competitive, dude. That's the whole point of PvPing, you know?
Yeah, the more your Rovi's geared up, the more multipliers that you have in order to win more tokens. And so every single component of this Rovi game is going to be very, very important for the play to earn ecosystem.
Yeah.
So Money Slayer says, what is your long-term course of action? Do you see the Rovi metaverse integrating with other verses? Interesting question. So here's the thing. The answer is yes. There's no technical barrier to doing that. The only I guess there is a technical barrier, is that you have to get developers involved. So if you have two different developer teams working on different versus ecosystems, you got to get them to collaborate in order to have one asset work on in the other world. So that's the only barrier. It's not impossible. There's NFT projects that are just taking existing NFTs, giving it like a little character, and then they're battling each other, right? You could do that. But that developer is doing that is taking it the action all on his own. He doesn't have to contact these NFT teams to do that. He's doing it all on his own. That he's just using other assets for his game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But ultimately, that is definitely the goal. We don't want Rovi's to be like a Decentraland exclusive experience. Like, if hopefully that settles that, and that goes for all metas, you know, because we've heard this feedback from just various people. Like, we built this creator ecosystem and economy within Decentraland just because Decentraland is like the core hub of the metaverse, like the open metaverse as of today.
Mm-hmm.
But we understand like that's not going to be the end all be all to the, you know, the 10-year vision of a metaverse. So it's like we're already way ahead of that as far as like making sure whatever we provide as far as like a platform, as a technology layer, whatever you want to call it, it's not just for Decentraland, right? Like Will likes to say all the time, Decentraland is our proving ground. It's our beachhead.
Yeah.
Right. Because it is what exists. It's been here the longest. It's the most accessible. It has the most robust SDK. So it allows us to create the best experiences for our users, right? But yeah, we want to make sure all the assets, all the creations built through our platform are deployable in a variety of places, you know? So how we get to that point, again, it's part of our 10-year vision, right? It's going to be a process. It's going to be difficult, but it's our mission, right? As a platform.
Yeah. So the idea is that these metas, these assets are going to be deployable in other metaverses. And so there's a bit of integration that has to occur for that to happen, but it's not impossible. And
it's not, yeah.
There are some minimum requirements for this stuff to work in other metaverses, like an SDK, for example. But there's other stuff too. And so having said that, this is a kind of like a huge step for everyone here now that this like economic system is going to be implemented relatively soon. And let's see here. So Maximus Crypto says, just got 2 more Rovi's. All right, congrats, dude. Both Supercharger A, he needs a C. So if someone can supply Maximus with a C, do a swap, then that would be awesome.
Super Tyler with a very well thought out message. Go ahead, dude. Break it down for me.
I still think that in order to get this game into the hands of a billion people, we need to have a massively expanded character set. Something like Roblox or Adopt Me. There needs to be an entry-level character that are either free or no cost. That's an interesting point, Super Tyler. We'll talk about that in a second. And people can trade up from there. I just don't see how the commercial ecosystem work at a scale that there's only 10K or even 100K Rovies. There needs to be millions, billions, and basically means non-unique models.
Yeah. So Oscar immediately replied with the replicator entering the picture. Yeah, and then he just added PVE glitches. So I don't know if we've even like introduced the concept of glitches or PVE owning them as an asset, right? But we've been discussing that just because, yeah, we agree with you, Super Tyler. Like, it's not just establishing like a nice delegation / guild ecosystem for people to own Rovies. Like, we should offer assets that are much more affordable to the whole demographic, right? The mass market space, right?
Yes.
Why not be able to spend $20 and like own some piece of this game economy or this ecosystem, right? So,
yeah.
So what's a glitch, right?
Yeah. So okay, I guess we've talked about this before, but we haven't really talked about it as often as we probably should. So a glitch is an enemy that you can own that you can stake into a PvE arena. And so this enemy you could purchase. They're extremely inexpensive in comparison to all the assets that we have. But you can purchase and you can stake them. And this is another revenue generating opportunity for people who purchase these glitches, because if your glitch ends up killing a Rovi, that has like a multiplier effect in terms of how many tokens you earn based on, how many Rovies you kill. So significantly less expensive assets can contribute to this ecosystem as well. But the glitches come at a later date because there's a lot more stuff to balance than instituting this right now.
Yeah, but ultimately it enables us to have a two-faceted approach to like enabling contribution to this like a PvE environment, right? You could either own Rovies or be delegated Rovies to participate in the killing of these glitches and earn your rewards through that, and be able to upgrade your Rovies to eventually participate in PvP and perform well there and earn even more. Or you can own these glitches, which are much more affordable, much more accessible to a wider demographic. And like you said, you could delegate them to any PvE arena meta in existence. So it's and then we're going to continually release them too. So it's not just one glitch, right? We can have like an infinite variety of glitches. So these glitches are just enemies, right?
Yeah, and they're we're talking about having them upgradable too, and they have experience, and then they can level up and stuff, and they will change their appearance as they get more experience points. So it's a pretty cool concept, and the idea that you can own the good guys like the Rovies and own the bad guys, and sort of another
still earn from both. Yeah, little fella. Yeah. So the more glitches you own obviously means you could delegate to more PvE arenas, you could distribute your potential. Think of them as like, I like to correlate everything we're doing, like as far as like metas, especially like revenue generating ones, to, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency miners. Like the more you increase your hashing power, the more reward Bitcoin or Ethereum rewards you get in like a proof of work ecosystem, right?
That's right.
Think of like owning metas or owning assets within like a meta zone ecosystem as like increasing your hash power. Like the more glitches you own, the more Rovies you own and can delegate, the more you can earn as rewards, right? It's as simple as that, right? When you break it down to like that core understanding.
Okay, so we are running out of time here. So let's give away the Pope. All right, so let me type this in.
Yeah, dude. And yeah, they do double as Rovi pets, apparently, according to Oscar.
Yeah. All right. So to get this the Pope, make sure you DM the MetaZone bot. The password is play to earn. That's the password. Kind of fitting, isn't it, Iman?
Very fitting. I want a boss glitch.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that too.
Yeah.
Upgrading your glitch to the point where it becomes, boss-like, where it's just that difficult to kill, right? Because you've upgraded the fuck out of these things,
Yeah, man. This is quite a challenge. I mean, this is going to be a challenging game because you have two sides, right? You got people upgrading the Rovies, and then you got people upgrading the enemies. And it's also
it also contributes to, like, we've thought about it. Like, if everybody's buying a PvE arena, you don't want it to be like a mundane, repetitive experience every arena you visit, right? It's
Yeah.
going to be up to the asset owner to attract the right delegation to their PvE arena, right? Like,
Yeah.
you might want to host a PvE experience that has much more boss glitches. Like, so how do you do that? We don't necessarily know yet.
Yeah.
But the reason you'd want to do that is because it probably rewards the player with more experience, more token rewards.
Yeah.
It attracts a higher grade of Rovi PvE participant, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you want these metas to function the same, but you want them to provide different experiences across the board, so it just never gets boring. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let me know if the MetaZone bot is working. It says badge couldn't be claimed, failed to fetch.
Are we doing a giveaway?
Yes, we are. Yeah, let's do that, right, man. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, we're getting carried away with our discussion here.
All right, hit me up, Super Tyler, if it doesn't work. Yeah, you may try your ETH address. So Bobby Learn worked with okay, so it did work for Trey Waters. All right, so let me set up this giveaway. This will be, I don't know. I got to look into the account for Star Rovies because I think we still have a set to go. So, okay, giveaway.
Nice. Green Shipper got it. TJ, you got it. Okay, everyone's getting it. Yeah, looks good.
So we got, let's give it. So you got 5 minutes.
Well, Pixie got it. And again, thanks for everyone who showed up last weekend for our 2-year anniversary, man. That meant a lot, dude. It was a good time for us to reflect on, because we don't get the chance to really like slow down, like reflect on time. You know what I mean? Time is just like, it just happens to be present even though we're not paying attention to it, and then it just kind of escapes us. Oh, but yeah, it was a nice, because I think we just totally ignored our 1st-year anniversary for whatever reason.
Yeah, man, it just came.
I think it rolled around during COVID or something like that.
No. Was it? No, COVID happened right after the launch of Decentraland.
Yeah, you're right.
It happened. Man, what happened at that time?
I don't know. I don't know. The vibes just weren't there, I guess. Even though it was 1 year. I don't even remember Decentraland doing much for their 1-year anniversary.
No, they did something. They did something, but all right. Anyway, the giveaway is live. So go to the giveaway channel and react to the giveaway bot, and you got less than 5 minutes now to win this thing.
Okay, guys. Good luck. What is the what's up for grabs?
1 Rovi transporter.
Right on. Even much more valuable considering we're axing the distribution for now.
Yeah. All right. So everyone's got the Pope. All right.
So yeah, hopefully everything we said didn't, if it added more confusion to your lives, let us know. We're definitely always here. We're always present in the Discord. Any question you guys have come up, ask it in the Rovi discussion channel. Ping one of us directly if you need to. Just we're always here to answer these questions.
All right. Yeah, this is exciting, man. Dude, I'm telling you guys, it's hard to get animated because, man, we talk about this so often, but this is like pumped us up the last 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Like
I can vouch for that, dude. You guys are up pumped to like 3 a.m. talking about this stuff most times.
Oh yeah. Me and Oscar were up till 3 a.m. just like chatting about all this stuff.
Yeah. I see. Oscar, we're super grateful to the Rovi. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Definitely grateful for all you guys. And I mean, PFP madness. I mean, this project started as like a PFP project, as like a PFP project, but like with a new twist. You know, we saw other projects experimenting with the whole play to earn angle. Everyone was labeling themselves as a metaverse ecosystem, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But we had but we were confident in our ability to actually execute and like deliver a real metaverse experience for the asset holders, right? It's just because that's what we do. That's what we've been doing for the last 2 years. We've been in the metaverse. Like we didn't have to speculate on what to do with these assets. We knew exactly what to do. But the only thing that kind of like held us back is like figuring out the game economy.
Yeah.
But we're there now. I think we're pretty much like 99% there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because basically anytime when you enter the crypto space, everyone becomes an economist and everyone has like their own implementation of like a sustainable ecosystem. And when you add the element of the metaverse, it significantly complicates things because you got to build all these assets. It's expensive, and then you got to do a bunch of stuff and then make it work within the world. And like Decentraland has so many quirks. Like you talk to anybody making anything in Decentraland, and they'll tell you that it's weird. It's a weird place to make stuff.
It's weird, and then for whatever reason, there's always like that element of doubt too. It's like, oh, if you're building something for Decentraland, it's not going to work. You're not going to get enough. You're not going to attract a big enough player base to like succeed.
Yeah.
And I think witnessing what Decentral Games has done is kind of like, I guess it's reinvigorated our belief. We've had it all along. Like
it's proved it.
Even just Decentraland, like the metaverse as a whole is obviously going to be huge, but even just Decentraland, it's still massive potential. Yeah. Like you guys will see. Yeah. You know, we'll prove it. We're confident in that.
Dead Polaroid, how do you claim Pope? Send a DM to the MetaZone bot and then type in play to earn as the password.
Yeah.
And keep trying. The MetaZone bot is not perfect.
Quick question for Oscar, dude. So next week is the hologram airdrop for Rovi oracles. Does that mean the hologram meta will be functional as they're airdropped, or just the assets will be distributed, but there's still more development needed for your Rovies to appear enrolled for hologram deployment? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, because the implications of the hologram mean that the Rovies are animated, and the animation for Rovies is a little bit more complicated than we're all used to because you could just animate stuff on Blender. But it's not that simple with Rovies just because all the body parts are separate. They're independent appendages.
Well, Pixie.
Yo, what's up?
Pixie won, dude.
Well, Pixie. Oh, shit. For real?
Yeah, the bot pop, dude. Oh, congrats, Vol Pixie.
There you are, Vol Pixie. Look at that. Damn. Congrats. All right.
Beautiful. I don't know if you own Rovies yet or not, Vol Pixie, but I know you've been attending these calls, so it doesn't matter if you own. Now you do, for sure. Yeah. If you did or didn't, doesn't matter. You're now one of the Robros. Or there was like a long list of like non-gender specific words for Rovi.
Ro Pro, dude.
Ro. There's like Ro pals, like Ro buds.
Ro buds. Know, yeah.
You guys will come up with it. You know what I mean?
All right. So I guess that concludes everything we wanted to talk about today, right? I mean,
it was second Rovi. Nice. Yeah, I think so, dude. It's 5:00 for us. Oscar said following Wednesday is the Rovi holograms. Oh, it's just a snapshot. Okay, it's not the actual airdrop.
Okay, yeah, it's a snapshot. Okay, so we got a couple of weeks before the airdrop at least. But the snapshot happens next Wednesday, so make sure, again, you have at least one transporter, all 5 superchargers, and 3 Rovies in a single ETH address in order to qualify to get all of the meta airdrops, every single one. So that's huge. Man,
okay, so he's dropping more knowledge into the chat. Okay, so the airdrop is March 10th.
Okay, so hologram meta will be subsequent airdrop tentative. Okay, yeah, because freaking animations. Hologram snapshot subsequent Wednesday. March 9th.
Okay.
Okay. And then hologram airdrop Thursday, March 10th during community
Okay.
call. Throwing a party. Okay, cool.
But I'm sorry, I might have like screwed up the order of things, but so there's a reinforcer drop before the hologram drop, correct? Yes, he said that. Reinforcer is March 3rd. Okay. Whew. Yeah, so you guys, we dropped a lot of knowledge, a lot of news, a lot of updates during this call. So
Trey Waters, if you can help compile all this stuff onto Reddit, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll also post like this list that Oscar's posting into the announcement channel. I won't ding everybody though, because I don't think it's necessary, but it'll be there as far as record in terms of updates.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trey Waters.
Yeah, and I'll compile all this into a Medium article as well and have it probably by the end of this weekend for sure. Just so have linkable. If anybody asks these questions in the chat, just link them this article so we have source of truth.
Yeah,
somewhere up there. As we always got to have that.
I guess one other thing we'll probably do next week is we'll invite Green Chauffeur to come join us to talk about like these updates, because I want to hear from him like what his thoughts are, and maybe Trey Waters as well if he's available. So we can have just like a chat, just see what everybody's reaction is about all this.
Totally, I'm so down. Anybody else who wants to join? Yeah, you guys ping us, let us know. We'll do another roundtable discussion and we'll get it cracking, guys.
Hell yeah.
Things are about to pop off for sure. Like Will said, I don't know, man. Just like I think it's like clarity,
Yeah.
That feeling you get, like
it's like when you know what you need to do. Once you know what you need to do, it's like you feel better about things. It's like not knowing, that's the tough part.
Exactly. It's like that post nut clarity, you know what I mean? It was like as soon as you get the demons out of you, it's like everything just fucking makes sense from there. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, dude. We need to make that into
all right,
a meme,
guys.
dude.
On that note, let's get the fuck out of here, dude.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. We'll be back next Thursday, same time, same place. We'll have to figure out if we're going to be still giving away these Rovi transporters, but I guess we'll find out next week. So Thank you, iMan. Thank you guys for joining as always, and until next week.
We're out. Peace. Oh, whoops.